1. Michigan HIMARS at Exercise Northern Strike 19. The ACV is the service's top modernization priority, but it will not immediately replace the AAV. The Corps will upgrade 392 AAVs to complement the new ACVs. The Marines are considering using landing craft air-cushioned ships to carry two ACVs at speeds up to 40 knots until they get within 12 miles of shore, Marine officials said. Leaders also talked of using heavy-lift barge carriers to service as motherships for LCACs during such operations. In May 2005, the 3rd Battalion, 27th Field Artillery Regiment, 18 Airborne Corps Artillery became the first unit equipped with HIMARS. Since then the Army has fielded 11 additional battalions, in both active and National Guard units. The Army plans to field an additional 6 battalions. Additionally, the Marines have fielded more than 38 launchers. HIMARS has expanded its global presence and has begun to serve the international market, including such countries as Jordan, Singapore and the United Arab Emirates. The HIMARS fire control system, electronics and communications units are interchangeable with the existing MLRS M270A1 launcher, and the crew and training are the same. Under contract to the U.S. Army, Lockheed Martin has delivered more than 400 HIMARS launchers to the Army, Marine Corps and international customers. Soldiers from the 2nd Battalion, 182nd Field Artillery Regiment, Michigan National Guard, load rocket pods onto the M142 HIMARS, high-mobility artillery rocket system, prior to a firing mission during Exercise Northern Strike 19 at the Camp Grayling Joint Maneuver Training Center, Michigan. On July 22, troops firing from Jordan into southern Syria used the M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system last week in support of an opposition group fighting ISIS, a U.S. military spokesman said on Friday. The launches were believed to be the first by a U.S. land-based weapons system from Jordan into Syria and raised concerns about a possible expansion of the U.S. effort to defeat the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, while avoiding involvement in Syria's civil war. That was a HIMARS strike out of northern Jordan to back up an opposition group that seized ground from ISIS just across the border, said Army Colonel Steve Warren, a spokesman for Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve. We call it rocket artillery. It's a very versatile and flexible weapons system, he said of the self-propelled system. It's another platform to conduct strikes, and its use in Jordan showed that we can integrate with these southern-based opposition forces in Syria, he said in a video conference from Baghdad to the Pentagon. Warren said that firing the system from Jordan into Syria fit into the overall strategy of the U.S. campaign to defeat ISIS, a plan that includes strengthening Jordan's defenses. The spokesman also confirmed that the Lockheed Martin Corporation-made artillery systems have been in place at U.S. bases at Takadam and the El Asad Air Base in Iraq since last summer. Last November, The Washington Post, citing coalition spokesman, said that HIMARS systems in Iraq had fired more than 400 rockets since arriving in Iraq in mid-summer. The confirmation of the HIMARS strike out of Jordan coincided with the release of a report by 30 human rights groups charging that the U.S. and its allies were fueling the fire of Syria's. No. 2. Michigan HIMARS live fire at Exercise Northern Strike 19. The Syrian government and its allies, as well as armed opposition and extremist groups, bear the primary and direct responsibility for the horrific reality Syria's civilians face. The groups, including Oxfam, CARE International and the Syrian American Medical Society, said in the report. The report singled out Russia, Turkey, Iran and others for contributing to the catastrophe, and also named the U.S., France and Britain. To varying degrees, these states, which should play a key role in ending the suffering in Syria, are actively contributing to that very suffering, the report said. Warren said he hadn't seen the report, but we disagree. There is a legitimate international terror threat living inside Syria. We believe they have to be defeated. This is not a struggle that we can simply turn our backs on. According to a press release, Lockheed Martin's HIMARS was initially fielded with the 3rd Battalion, 27th Field Artillery Regiment, in May of 2005. Since then, 14 additional launcher battalions have been fielded with the U.S. Army in active and National Guard units. In 2007, The Marine Corps received its first launchers. The system has been billed as a surface-to-surface precision engagement weapon using guided MLRS, multiple launch rocket systems. HIMARS features a launcher loader module and fire control system mounted on a standard 5-ton truck chassis that can be transported aboard a C-130 cargo aircraft. The system is operated by a crew of 3. Lockheed has been shopping the system to U.S. allies in the Mideast. In December, Lockheed was awarded a $28.6 million contract to provide 12 HIMARS to the United Arab Emirates. Soldiers from the 2nd Battalion, 182 Field Artillery Regiment, Michigan National Guard, fired the M142 HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, during a live-fire training mission at Exercise Northern Strike 19, Camp Grayling Maneuver Training Center, Michigan, July 25. Video shown plays at regular speed, 50%, 30% and 15% speed. Soldiers from the 2nd Battalion, 182 Field Artillery Regiment, Michigan National Guard, fired the M142 HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, during a live-fire training mission at Exercise Northern Strike 19, Camp Grayling Maneuver Training Center, Michigan, July 25. Video shown plays at regular speed, 50%, 30% and 15% speed. Will place a HIMARS rocket artillery system in Turkey to stop cross-border attacks by ISIS in Syria and also base the mobile system in northern Iraq to back an eventual push on Mosul, a top military planner said Tuesday. Those are 2 separate HIMARS systems, one going to be used in Turkey to support our operations, one in support of our operations in Iraq, said Air Force Major General Peter Gersten, Deputy Commander for Operations and Intelligence for Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve. The truck-mounted M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS, will be placed in northern Iraq to support Iraqi security forces, ISF, for the eventual offensive on the ISIS stronghold of Mosul and will absolutely move forward with the ISF as it gains ground, Gersten said in a video briefing from Baghdad to the Pentagon. Gersten said the HIMARS in northern Iraq would initially be placed in the Tigris River Valley, suggesting that the system would be used to support Iraqi forces near Makmur, about 60 miles southeast of Mosul. The ISF has been using Makmur as a staging area for a Mosul offensive that has currently stalled against heavy resistance from Islamic State of Iraq and Syria fighters. Gersten said negotiations for the placement of a HIMARS system in Turkey were still underway, but Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said the HIMARS was expected to arrive in southeastern Turkey in May. That is a recent development that we have been working on and we are looking at how it is going to be installed, Gersten said of the HIMARS positioning in Turkey. We're working very closely with our strong partners in Turkey. As part of this deal, HIMARS systems will be arriving in Turkey's borders in May. Therefore, we will be able to hit Islamic State in a more efficient way, Cavusoglu told the Haberturk newspaper, Reuters reported. In recent weeks, Turkey has repeatedly fired back with artillery and rockets at ISIS in Syria following a surge in cross-border ISIS rocket attacks on the Turkish town of Kilis. To wipe out Islamic State from this region, we need to support the moderate opposition both from the air and ground, Cavusoglu said. However, the range of our artillery is 40 kilometers, 25 miles, while HIMARS has a range of 90 kilometers, 56 miles, he added. Last November, the Army disclosed that the Lockheed Martin HIMARS systems had been in place in Iraq since last summer and had fired more than 400 rockets from positions at the El Asad Air Base and Takadam near Ramadi in Anbar province. In March, a HIMARS in Jordan fired into Syria in support of moderate Syrian rebels. But as Pollock reported, the stealthy fifth-generation, twin-engine fighter developed for air-to-air superiority conducted a ground attack mission, pummeling suspected drug labs in the country with small-diameter bombs. Similarly for the counter-narcotics mission, U.S. commanders turned to HIMARS, which is also made by Lockheed and carries a 6-pack launcher or 1 MGM-140 ATACMS missile on the bed of a medium-duty truck. The technology seems to be increasingly versatile. The Navy and Marine Corps just last month test-fired the system from the deck of the amphibious transport dock USS Anchorage, LPD-23, to gauge its ability to conduct precision fires at a shore target. In that exercise, the HIMARS destroyed an unidentified land-based target from a distance of 70 kilometers, or roughly 43 miles, using a guided multiple launch rocket system unitary, or GMLRSU. It's not immediately clear whether the F-22 and HIMARS strikes suggest an evolving counter-narcotics mission for the U.S. military in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the world's main source of opium and heroin production, and the Taliban generates an estimated $100 million to $155 million annually in illicit income from the drug trade, potentially more than a quarter of total Taliban annual revenue, according to a 2014 report by the Congressional Research Service. Battalion, 3rd Battalion, 157th Field Artillery Regiment, Colorado Army National Guard, conducted a combined arms live-fire exercise using the M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system, HIMARS, during Exercise Sabre Strike 2017 at Aduzi. The rockets fired this week were reduced-range practice rockets, shot from the Hayes Hill firing point into the center of JBLM's artillery impact area west of Roy. Each firing consisted of 3 rockets, fired at one time. Sound monitors off base showed noise from the firings was below the maximum 130 decibels rec.